morning everyone. I am Dr.M.Sathya, Assistant Professor of English from the PG and Research Department of English, SFR College for Women, Sivasi. The topic today that we are going to see is the Antony's funeral speech in Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar. Let us start the funeral speech now. The play Julius Caesar was written by William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare was an eminent English playwright named the Bard of Avon. He is said to have shaped English literature in itself. His famous works include A Midsummer Night's Dream, The Merchant of Venice, and Hamlet. Julius Caesar has returned to Rome after the victory over the sons of deceased Pompey. His friend Brutus with Cassius, they planned to kill Julius Caesar. And Julius Caesar was warned by a soothsayer to beware of the Ides of March. But Julius Caesar neglected that. But Brutus, along with the conspirators, killed Julius Caesar. And Brutus wants to justify his act to the mob. So he decided to give a funeral speech in the funeral of Julius Caesar. Meanwhile, Mark Antony, he also comes there. Knowing the death of Julius Caesar, he asked permission to Brutus that he also wants to give a speech in the funeral of Julius Caesar. And so he asked Brutus that he won't talk anything ill about Brutus. Meanwhile, he wants to give a funeral oration for Julius Caesar to honor his friendship, carrying the dead body of Julius Caesar. So this speech, Antony's speech, this is taken from the Act 3, Scene 2 of Shakespeare's notable play Julius Caesar. This segment of the play is the most crucial for things take a turn following Antony's speech on Caesar's funeral. The theme of this speech is revenge. Through his subtle yet powerful words, Antony manages to successfully instigate the Roman mob into seeking vengeance for Caesar's murder. He instigates the mob by calling them gentle Romans, friends, countrymen, which is very close to the hearts of the people. So he addresses the mob, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus had told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously had Caesar answered it. So this is the first stanza where Antony starts his speech. And what is the message of this stanza is, he begins his speech very clearly by bringing himself closer to the mob by using the word friends. He begins harmlessly enough, stating in accordance to the condition Brutus had levied that he had merely come to offer some final words to Caesar's funeral and not to praise his glory. He then moves on to point out how the evil aspects of a deceased person is what is highlighted after their death, while their good deeds are forgotten, left unnoticed with their bones. Mark Antony graciously remarks that they should let Caesar's good deeds buried with him as well, slyly pointing out that is how the people have already forgotten what a good man Caesar was, already pouncing to label him evil. Leaving the people to hold on to that thought, he moves on to Brutus. How Brutus, whom he calls noble here, has called Caesar ambitious. Antony remarks that if Caesar had indeed been ambitious, it was a fault indeed. Here it should be noted that Antony does not say that Caesar is ambitious but only entertaining Brutus' possibility. And the second stanza, what he says is, here under leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honorable man, so are they all honorable men. Come, I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. So, in this stanza, he says Brutus as a honorable man, which he repeatedly says throughout his speech. He calls all the conspirators honorable. In fact, all of those who had been responsible for Caesar's death. Antony recalls how Caesar had been a fair and faithful friend to him. However, Antony points out that Brutus, an honorable man, had decreed him to be ambitious, so Caesar must, after all, be ambitious. So, what he says is, though Brutus is a honorable man, he says that Caesar is ambitious. So, his act of killing Caesar is justifiable. Here, he also subtly points of Caesar's good qualities but dismisses them on Brutus' account. By portraying himself wrong, he thus successfully plants the seed of doubt in the people's mind unknowingly and builds his argument effectively. In the third stanza, what he says is, he had brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? When that the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. Antony goes on talking about Caesar's victories and him making the land flourish. Antony also questions himself whether this is Caesar is ambitious. For what he clearly left unsaid points out that no, it was not. He again draws to the people's attention how Caesar had wept along with the poor and grieved them. He also remarks that that should be what Brutus called ambitious. This is what is called as ambitious by Brutus. It was not to be so, for ambition is something much more hard and tough. Again, he ends this thought abruptly as well, dismissing it off as Brutus, the honorable man, had said otherwise, strengthening the doubt in the minds of the people. So, repeatedly talking about Brutus as a honorable man, he strengthened the doubts in the minds of the people. In the next stanza, what he says is, you all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and sure he is an honorable man. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. So in this stanza, he was talking about the offer he had offered to Julius Caesar at the Lupercal festival. He gave the crown to Julius Caesar 3 times, but Julius Caesar neglected that, and he was asking the mob, is this ambitious? And Brutus says that Caesar is ambitious, and I am here not to disapprove the speech of Brutus, but I am here to speak what I know. So in this stanza, he reminds the people upon how he himself had offered Caesar the crown thrice, which he had refused all the 3 times. Again, Antony questions how this can be called ambition when Caesar had clearly refused the power. Once again, he states that Brutus, the honorable man, had said so it was what must be true. At this point of the speech, it is clear, however, that him calling Brutus honorable is not a praise, but him pointing out to the absurdity behind him, justifying Caesar's murder. the man who truly was honorable. However, Antony maintains his subtlety, giving a disclaimer of sorts by stating that he was by no means disproving Brutus, but rather merely stating facts as he knows. He thus puts himself on a pedestal where he himself had not stated anything explicit, but rather merely making the people think for themselves. In the next stanza, you all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? O judgment, the word fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason. Bear with me. My heart is in the coffin, there with Caesar, and I must pass till it comes back to me. He was questioning the mob. You people loved him once for no reason, and now you are all turning against him, and you doesn't want to even mourn for him. For what reason? You want to judge the brutish beast act. You all have lost your reason. So bear with me, because I have taken the body of Caesar. So this concludes with Antony finishing his powerful argument by pointing out how the people had indeed loved him, but have cast away that love by refusing to mourn him. He bemoans and how clear judgment had been taken into hands by brutish beasts, a clever pun on the name Brutus. He laments how people have lost their senses and quickly apologizes for his emotional outburst, as he himself was still mourning Caesar dearly. Unlike them is what Antony leaves unsaid, thus efficiently provoking the mob and instigating them to seek revenge. So, in all the stanzas that we have seen, we have found out that Mark Antony cunningly instigate the mob to think of the death caused by Brutus. He wants to make the mob understand the real cause of the death of Caesar. He has got victory in instigating the minds of the mob. And the structure of this speech is, this is just for convenience. Nevertheless, the lines of Antony's monologue follow Shakespeare's famous blank verse consisting of unrhymed iambic pentameter. So this is the structure of this verse, and this is a very powerful speech delivered by Mark Antony, well known for its persuasive nature. Antony wields his words masterfully, changing the mind of the people in the matter of minutes to see the good in Caesar. This is thus a tribute to Caesar and the friendship they shared. Thanks for watching.